and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You'll pray with me, please. Father God, we're so grateful for the blessings you bestowed on our great city. We ask for wisdom tonight as we look into issues that you have for us to review. Pray for our first responders and our soldiers and all of the folks serving citizens this evening all around the world. We just thank you for your blessings upon us. Pray that we'll continue to lead in a way that brings glory and honor to you. I ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, council. So we have a note that when we have on masks, we're to vote using hands. So everybody will do that this evening. It's going to be a little different. I have some reminders.
Okay.
Yeah, just like that. Yeah, so when your glasses unfall,
Yes, thank you.
you can do that. Okay, council, had an opportunity to review the minutes of the meeting of July 20th.
Move to approve the minutes
Okay.
of July 20th. Second.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
It's gonna take
It's a little bit different. We're gonna make it. It's gonna be great. All right. Is anyone here to address the council about any agenda item this evening? This time we'll open the public hearing. Linda, if you'll read item C1 for us, please.
Ordinance 6308, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman amending Chapter 8 of the Code of Ordinances entitled Offenses and Nuisances, Article 8.08, entitled Junk Vehicles, as sections 8.08.001, 8.08.002, 8.08.003, and 8.08.006, providing for inclusion in the Code of Ordinances, providing for severability, providing for a repealer clause, finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Okay. Thank you, Linda. Terrence? Good evening, welcome.
Morning. Good evening, Mayor, City Council. Today we're asking for you to consider updating this ordinance, which was adopted in 1991. There were some minor changes made in 2007. That was just defining definitions. The purpose of this ask is, first of all, it gives more teeth to these complaints that we have with junk vehicles when we go to municipal court. Our current ordinance allows someone to have 13 junk vehicles. So when you get those calls about all these vehicles and our code guys go out and respond, they're doing what is asked of them, but when they get to court, of course, what does your ordinance say? Well, this is what it says. And so this gives them more teeth in helping to clean up some of the properties. And number two, this ordinance lines up with the state law concerning junk vehicles as well. So when code looked at the changes to this ordinance, they looked at cities like Denison, Anniston, Melissa. The ordinances that they have is more strict than what we're proposing tonight. So we're just taking a baby step to try to help make sure that we clean up this ordinance to concerning junk vehicles.
Okay, thank you, Terrence. Is there anyone here to address this item this evening? Now we'll close public hearing and consider the adoption of ordinances. Council, any questions or discussion regarding this?
Why are we taking baby steps?
Well, you know, tonight I was prepared to answer that question. We're ready to take the big leap. If you all are ready to take the heat.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
So what are the specific changes?
Okay, so
I mean, I see
tonight,
that, but if you know, just a quick summary, like how many cars can they have now versus 13?
13 now.
No.
Let's change that.
Absolutely not.
Okay, well, that's what this ordinance changed, and Chip here can come up if you don't mind and answer the specifics, but this basically breaks it down to one that has to be covered, and covered is not with the covering on it, it's actually behind structure.
If I could say there was one main phone call I get, this is it.
So Chip will be able to answer, he's the expert in this.
Enlighten us, Chip.
Mayor and council, what I would like to do is take the same approach towards the junk vehicles that we take towards the dilapidated substandard structure.
I like that.
And enter that process into abating these vehicles. The process that we're currently using creates extremely too many loopholes for the fence attorney. 30 years in the line of work of doing this, if we get put into place a good process, that rules are fair, and I think that the amendments that we've made is an overall good, fair approach, not only to the citizens, but it increases the fine amounts, it's different penalties, and we can get them into our civil abatement court and them not be out there 30, 60, 90 days prior to taking action. It'll allow us to streamline these vehicles. We've gone as far as to hire a new staff member, Caleb Green, Caleb, if you'll stand up, I'll introduce you to the council now. This is the gentleman that's gonna be not only doing this on commercial properties for CO stations as well, but for residential. Any stricter, ordinance, and you say put the pedal to the metal, you would have to go in and adopt the, chapter 3 of the, International Property Maintenance Code, which is probably the strictest junk vehicle statute in the United States. That's international.
Give us a synopsis of that.
Okay, it's a paragraph long, pretty short and
All
sweet and
right.
simple, okay? It says, it is provided for other rate, no inoperative or unlicensed motor vehicle shall be parked, kept, or stored on any premises, okay? And no vehicle shall at any time be in a state of major disassembly, disrepair, or in the process of being stripped, dismantled. And it also says painting of vehicles is prohibited unless conducted inside the approved spray booth. It gives one exception. The exception to that is, any vehicle, any type is permitted to undergo major overhaul, including body work, provided that such work is performed by the structure or similarly enclosed area designed and approved for such purposes. That's what it is internationally. So that's pretty pedal to the metal enforcement. Our ordinance and the revisions I reviewed in several cities like Terrence said, Denison, Adam, Melissa, McKinney, Allen, Little Elm, Commerce, I wrote several of those. But I think ours is a middle of the road, good approach. It gives the citizen an opportunity to take care of their business before we end up in court. Pretty simple. And that $500 civil penalty that can be placed on their property into a lien that we will recover at the property sales, or that $2,000 fine because it's life, health, and safety that the judge can issue at the hearing that day. And we're talking 10-day abatement instead of 30, 60 days.
I think it's the number, 13.
Yeah,
That's
this
a lot.
allows one.
Yeah.
Our new ordinance, the changes I made, allows one behind the screening fence. We took out the fast growing shrubbery and the car covers, cause that's just a joke, it really is.
Yeah.
It's just not good enough. So, they can have one behind the screening fence, as long as they keep the area maintained. It can't be under a carport, it has to be in enclosed building or behind the screening fence. It cannot be seen anywhere by the neighbor or public, or if we drive by and see it, so on, so. That's, the pedal to the metal is the property maintenance code, middle of the road is what you got presented to you.
But the middle of the road is significantly different
Big
than what
time.
we're doing now.
It's big
I
time.
mean, it's not just one little, it's significantly different from both a, kind of a legislative ordinance standpoint and from our ability to prosecute, in court. So we would propose at least, adopting what was presented tonight, and if you guys, I mean, the far side of that is what Chip just described, this, code that basically is one paragraph long that doesn't, I'm overstating it slightly, but doesn't allow anything.
Pretty much.
So,
And what we don't wanna do is be too overzealous and hurt our hobbyists or people that restore automobiles in good faith, at their homes.
Right.
But I do see, obviously 13 is quite a problem, so.
Chip, I think with this, how does this address, the towing yards and places of that nature that are gonna have cars like this because they go pick them up for the city on a
It
regular basis?
exempts them.
Exempts.
They are exempt, it's written in the ordinance, and you'll see in the change, that's it highlighted in red in your example ordinance from what we took out to what we went to. The red is what we're going to. It exempts salvage yards, it exempts, towing lots and stuff, but we're probably gonna ask them in the near future to screen those lots anyway, out of sight, out of mind. But right now, they'd be exempt, you know, from a salvage yard and a towing lot. The TDLR regulates them, they're supposed to have a screening fence anyway by TDLR regulations.
I'm assuming this does exempt automobile mechanics as well, if they're behind the screen.
No, they can't have junk vehicles on the property at all, that's part of their CO inspection.
Well, currently, they're allowed to have them behind a screened fence, I believe.
Percentage, they get a percentage back there under the current ordinance. The little research I've done so far to answer your question, they get a certain amount of square footage of storage behind the screen by the square footage of their building. Does that make sense? So if they got 2,000 square feet, it's like 4% is allowed for vehicle storage behind the screen fence of that square footage. So whatever 4% of 2,000 square feet would be, that's.
So this wouldn't be changing that. This is gonna,
No, they're just not gonna be able to go down and have 150 cars on a lot. It's not, they can't even screen it. If we get into criminal stuff outside of one vehicle, then you're getting into illegal conduct steps.
Well, I just happened to have a piece of paper here I was gonna turn in code enforcement tonight with 2 addresses within a half a mile of each other. One of them I went by today, and they had over 20 junk cars in front of the building this afternoon on my way here. The other one, I couldn't even count all the cars.
I would probably agree with you. ma'am.
And so, I'm all in favor of doing something to tighten up on this, you know. And so if this is a middle of the ground that is being recommended, I think maybe that's where we need to go to start with before we make a crazy leap.
I would ask the council to give us a shot and let us run with it and let it work for a few months. And if it's not to your liking, we'll make the changes again. I think you'll really like it once we get the process in place and not let you down. You know, I think we've hired the right guy to do this, learn it and move forward. And I think it's fair for everyone.
So in the past, the police department had to be
Yeah.
involved, is that still the case, or is that?
Right now it is, yes. Until this ordinance gets passed and we get our guy rolling, that's the case right now. They're still handling it right now.
But this takes it out of the.
This takes it out of their hand and gets it all on our shoulders and mine, and they don't have to deal with it anymore, and we deal with it, and this is what we do.
This does not grandfather anybody, right?
No, ma'am.
Okay, let's do it.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve as written. I second that.
Okay, we have a motion second, all in favor? Any opposed?
Curious, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Chip, could you, come back in 90 days, 180 days and give us an update about how it's going?
You bet you. We'll rock and roll. Thank you.
And Jeff, can I go ahead and give you the addresses?
Best time ever to do it. Thank you.
Thank you,
That's
Jeff.
the start, that's the start.
There you go.
If you wanna leave the meeting and go on out there, that'd be okay.
We're gonna leave. Thank you, all have a good day.
Thanks, Chip.
Thank you.
Welcome, Kevin.
All right, thank you. Okay, this time we'll receive an update from Development Service Director Rob Brady on Chapter 3 of the Code of Ordinance entitled Building Regulations. Rob, come on up.
Hello, Mayor and Council. In the budget work session, you all heard from Fire Marshal Billy Hartsfield on recommendations to update the fire code. We have begun looking into updating the building code along with that update to the fire code. We've also had inquiries from other builders that are saying that they're having to do this, they're having to build their buildings to newer codes in other cities and having the request for us to update it or to use it here as well. Currently, the city is using 2009 International Building Codes for residential, building, fuel, gas, mechanical, plumbing, energy conservation, and fire. And in the city of Sherman recently, such as the high school, is currently being built to the 2018 code instead of our 2009 code. So this is just an update to let you know that we're planning on preparing this update. We are expecting to come back in September or early October to detail what the changes would be involved in the change from 2009 to 2018. We've skipped a few code cycles, 2012, 2015, so we're having to figure out all the different changes that happened between each of those years. And then we're hoping to come back in November for approval from the council on updating the code. I'd be happy to take any questions.
I'm glad that they're getting up to date.
It's fine. Thank you.
All right, at this time, we'll review the 2020 to 2021 draft budget. Mayor?
The draft budget for 2021 is about $97 million. It's about $2.2 million more than last year due to additional personnel costs and capital expenses. The general, utility, and solid waste funds are all within our targeted range of 60 to 90 days. As we discussed before, distribution from TASWA is critical, especially to the operation of the general fund in 2021. And that is included in the budget. No increases in the tax rate, utility rate, or solid waste rates is planned. Three new positions are budgeted in the utility fund, and a payment from Merrilee SUD will be used for operations with the Merrilee Water Project funded from debt. The public hearing will be next council meeting on August 17th. And the vote on the budget will be also on August 17th. Is there any comments or questions?
Thank you for spending all your time with me this afternoon. I appreciate
No
it.
problem.
Thanks, Mayor.
We're good. I think the next one's mine too, I'll just say.
Yes, review of the draft capital improvement program, 2020-2025, and set a public hearing for Monday, August 17th. Do what? Jessica? Oh, I did, I'm sorry. Review notice of tax rates is required by the Texas tax code. I'm sorry, Mary.
Oh, no problem. Among the many changes made to the tax code by the 86th legislature is the terminology used in the notice requirements surrounding our adoption of the tax rate. The no new revenue rate is what we used to call the effective tax rate, which is just a calculated rate that would be what we would levy this year on the same properties taxable in both years, using the values from this year. The voter approval rate is what we formerly call the rollback rate. So it's the maintenance and operations rate multiplied by either 3.5% or 8%, depending on some other things, plus the debt rate. So the notice of tax rates is on a form. It's prescribed by the comptroller, so we can't make any changes to that form itself. And it just gives some information on the rates and some additional information as required by law. We, as a city staff, are required to certify the rates and present them to you. There's no action required of you. We're just required to submit these rates to you. I did want to mention also that we passed back in May that resolution the council passed allowing us to calculate the voter approval rate using 8% instead of 3.5% that was required by law. That is because we're in an area that was declared a disaster. But even if we use the 3.5% rate, we would still be below that rollback rate. Is there any questions?
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, Mayor. It's been easy on you tonight, Mary.
I wasn't.
Calculation.
Okay, now the review of the draft capital improvement project. So, public hearing.
Okay, we update the 5-year capital improvement plan yearly as required by charter. The first year in the plan is also included in the budget that we talked about a couple of items ago that will be on the August 17th meeting. The other 4 years are just informational. They just assist staff with planning. It's a good communication tool. Most of the first-year projects are already funded. There's some projects that will require funding. The utility projects are funded through G2A. The other projects are funded through general debt. The capital improvement program is not an authorization for us to award a contract. Each project comes to city council for approval and for contract award. It's just our planning tool, and it gives you a look at what we might be anticipating in future years.
So the other thing we need from this item, in addition to just presenting this to you, is direction, motion in order to set the public hearing for August 17th.
Yes.
To approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Now we gotta work on the handwriting. Okay, there were none opposed, motion carries. All right, immediate questions. Michael, you have anything for us tonight? Okay, we do have, appoint, remove, or consider qualifications of boards and commission. We have one for the library board.
Is she here tonight?
Is it a reappointment?
Yes. I believe that's correct.
No, so this is.
No, this is a new appointment.
Judith, I move to approve Judith Sloan be appointed to the library board.
I'll second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, we are down to the council. It's Josh, let's start.
Mr. Mayor, I have no comments other than the request we have executive session in this room instead of going back to Tuesday.
Oh, okay, very good.
Not at this point, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to say thank you to Mary, her team, Robbie, the city staff, city management for bringing back the budget to us so many times this year. I know this was important to us all, and you guys spent a lot of work taking our feedback and recreating this budget multiple times, and that's a lot of work. And so we just really appreciate you guys taking that effort and bringing that back to us and asking for our feedback, so thank you.
The only comment I'll make is the fact that if you have not seen our new addition to our fire department, that's front, please take time to take a look at it. We have a new fire truck that's state of the art, and we're excited to have it here in Sherman.
I am so grateful that we have employees here that want to update old ordinances and bring things up to code. And work with our employees and to help Sherman be a better place. It's just exciting to me to see that we have new people come in and look at those things that we don't always think about. So I'm appreciative to that. And again, I want to thank Mary for spending so much time with me, going over the numbers and all of the finance office and what y'all do. Truly, I want to understand the budget, and I'm not a numbers person, so I appreciate you dumbing it down a little bit. So thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. All right, well, thank you to our tourism team for making Hot Summer Nights and Lights on the Lake one of our best series that we've done. This year has arguably been one of our better seasons, so thank you to them for all their hard work. A few announcements tonight. Please make plans to join us Friday, August 7th for coffee with the mayor at Night Furniture. We'll be celebrating the retirement of one of our great K-9 officers from Sherman PD and introducing Sherman ISD's new athletic director. There'll also be plenty of time for networking and community announcements. The event begins at 8 a.m. Sherman Arts Fest is quickly approaching. It's shaping up to be another great event despite the pandemic. If you'd like to reserve a space for your booth, please contact our tourism office or apply online at the City of Sherman's homepage. The Arts Fest will be held on Saturday, September 19th this year. And finally, tonight, there's still time to get tickets for the Sherman Chamber of Commerce annual legislative luncheon on Friday, October 9th. The event will be held at Boston College this year. We'll get a chance to visit with our legislative leaders about state and local politics. So please make plans to attend. All right, at this time, the City Council will now hold a closed executive session pursuant to the Texas Open Meetings Act at section 551.3
conflicts with this chapter. In section 551.074 to deliberate personnel matters and consider appointment to the Planning and Zoning Commission. And in section 551.087 to deliberate regarding economic development negotiations. So 524, the council will now enter into executive session.